welcome to Tara Talkies. So, how are you all? I hope you all are doing very well. Well, I'm back with the second part of communication. We have already learned about what is communication, which are the types of communication. We learned about verbal communication, non-verbal communication. We understood in detail how does verbal communication matters, how we can communicate non-verbally, and what is their importance and which are the things we have to be careful about. And today in the second part of communication, I would be discussing about the barriers of communication. Well, we really have to be aware of the things which basically is blocking our communication. Many times we think that we have conveyed our message, but because of those barriers, the message could be somewhere lying, or just hanging around, and it was never reached to the right person. So today, let's learn in detail which are the barriers of communication. And among barriers, the first barrier is physical barriers. So physical barriers could be related to a background noise, temperatures like extremely cold or extremely hot temperature, and if the equipments of communication is not good enough. So if the temperature of the room where you probably are planning to have your conversation or interview or kind of your a seminar or anything where you are going to talk to people, and the temperature is not suitable, people are not comfortable, it is really hard to convey your message because people will not be able to come out of their physical discomforts and follow what you are saying. So we have to be very understanding of the part that if we really want to convey something important, or not even important, if you really want to convey something, the physical barriers have to be taken care of. And the second thing which can be really a barrier to communication is the attitude. Now, attitude is related to the emotions. Emotions could be anything. There could be emotions of sadness, emotions of ecstasy, extreme happiness, emotions of anger. If the person is very angry, definitely that's really not a right time to justify your points, to find a right side of that person into your matter. Well, probably the person's emotions have overtaken him, and he or she may not be able to convey, or may not be able to receive what you are saying to the person. And even if the person is sad, or even if the person is too happy, if the person is extremely happy, even that's not the right time to ask somebody for something, because out of extreme happiness, we have a tendency to say probably yes to everything maybe we never meant to say at that point of a time. So we have to be really understanding of these kind of barriers as well. And the other part which I believe is you would be actually surprised, language is another barrier. Well, I'm not saying different language, I'm talking about even people speaking same language can have barriers to communicate. Let's say if there are two people of different generations, a very younger and older generation, they will have difficulty to converse. Reason being, the younger generation, they use different slangs, a different vocabulary, which probably the older generation have never used. So that could be a reason where a communication can be hindered. Okay? And even if there are two people who are from different regions, they speak the same language, but still those languages will have their kind of the way they speak the language can be a little different. So even talking in the same language can still be a barrier. And the other things which could be barriers, they could be related to physical problems of a person, like if the person is ill, if the person is in pain, if the person is in those kind of conditions, it's really hard to convey your message. If the person is feeling pain and you are trying to make the person understand what you are going through, or make the person understand about the goals in life and motivation and things like that, probably those things will not work out. So we always have to address the conditions and the situation where the person is. So we have to be in the moment whenever we try to communicate with somebody. And I would say if we want our communication to be effective, we really have to be understanding for all these parts whenever we are going to talk to anybody. We have to be empathetic, like we should not always be just focused on, okay, I have to say this and this is my condition, these are my points, and I don't care whatever it is. I mean, we are humans, so we should not behave like robots. So we have to be understanding what the person is going through. And if you can hold that conversation for that time, I would definitely advise you to just hold it for that time and just wait for the right time to say the same thing. Okay, and then the other thing which could bring a barrier is cultural noise. Now, the previous thing which I discussed about the attitudes and anger, or when the people just wanted to say, and there are a few people who just always want to be right no matter what. That is a emotional noise. And there are other part which can be a barrier to communication is the cultural noise. For sometimes we have a tendency to generalize things for some cultures. We tend to frame people in a typical way because they belong to a certain culture. So I would say we should not generalize, and we should not think, or we should not have those things in our heads about somebody when you're starting a conversation. So if you are preoccupied, if you have all those emotions and all those generalized things for somebody, maybe the communication will not be that much effective. So we have to get rid of those things as well. And afterwards, there are other few things like lack of kind of common interests. If there are four people, they are heading ahead in a conversation and they do not have common interests, it's sometimes really hard to bring up that communication to that level. Probably they will communicate, but that communication will not be that effective. So we have to find some common interests when we want to convey our message in a group, or when we want to get into that group, or when we want really to be part or to get socialized. So we need to really find those common factors where we could find that commonality to talk to somebody. And there could be other factors which can be responsible to actually cut off your communication, like ambiguity, or any kind of abstractions, like leaving things unsaid, or just half saying them and generalizing them, and you actually not saying also, but you're saying everything as well. So that makes the other person feels offended. It makes the other person feels that I should better go from here rather being part of this communication. So I don't think that's really not a better way to communicate to somebody. And what I personally feel is it's our responsibility wherever we go, whatever we talk. Our talks should have a positive impact on people. We should not just talk just because we have to talk. I mean, like, that should not be the way how we should behave. We are humans, and God has definitely designed us for some purpose. And our talks, our words, should be the reason to encourage somebody, should be the reason to motivate somebody. So I would just advise you guys, like, whenever you want to speak something good. Even if it's bad about somebody, talk in person. And if you're talking good about somebody, talk publicly. And even if you cannot talk publicly, at least do not talk bad things about somebody in public. I mean, like, we should have that sort of, thinking. We should have that sort of mindset. It's always important that we must support each other. If you're supporting others, the other person is going to support us in future. So whatever you want, how you should be treated, the same way you're supposed to treat others as well. So, I mean, why I'm focusing on communication is that we play a really very important role in society. Being individual, having our own personality, it's really important how we impose ourselves to others. It's really important how we are using our personality, our language, our communication, our thoughts, whatever we say, that has an impact. Nothing, whatever is said, it's not worthless all the time. It will always have an impact on some or the other person. Maybe we never realize whatever impact you might have left. Maybe you have hurt somebody but you never realized. Maybe you have motivated somebody Maybe you might have even not realized that too. So if you can be a reason for a motivation, why you want to be a reason for discouragement to someone's life? Okay, okay, so we are distracting right now. There's another part which can be a better to communication as well: information overload. Sometimes I know I've been a teacher since years, and sometimes in the beginning I used to have a tendency, oh, I just want to share all the things, whatever knowledge I have, I just want to just dump it over to my students. But no, that's not how it works. So try to keep your things concise. Do not overload people with information. Just convey little by little whatever is needed. Overdoing of things can also lead you, nowhere. So we should know what we are communicating, and you should concise your things. So well, these all things were the physical barriers, and there is one thing which can never be wrong, which can never go wrong. That is like the way you are communicating by your smile. Your smile is infectious. If you smile, the other person will smile back to you. Even sometimes you don't want to say anything, and maybe that person might have hurt you. Maybe that conversation wasn't going well. A little smile on your face can really work wonders. So try out using your smiles and using your words to spread something good around the world. See you in my next video. Till then, take care of yourself and keep liking, subscribing, and sharing. And do not forget to comment. Thank you very much.